to do an oil change on a 2008 Honda Accord 4-cylinder. This one's a 2.4 liter, but pretty much goes for any Honda. Pretty much goes for any car, really. It's the basic, you know, drain the oil, change the oil filter, fill it up, and that's pretty much an oil change. When you take it to the service shops, usually they'll check other things, like they'll test your battery, power steering, they'll check your air filter. But today I'm just doing the oil change. It's due for it, and I'm just gonna do an oil change. I replaced the air filter not too long ago. The battery's still good. It's my daily driver. So pretty much all you're gonna need for this car, and this is just what I use. A 17mm socket with the ratchet, oil filter wrench, and then your oil to fill it with, which I use Mobil 1 Extended Performance. This car calls for 520, so that's what I put in it. And that's a filter right there, M1 110A, Mobil 1 as well. You guys can choose whatever oil you guys go with, or whatever you prefer. I usually go synthetic with my vehicles. Never had any issues with them, so that's just my preference. Ideally, just go based off of whatever your owner's manual says, to prevent voiding any warranties or stuff like that, especially if you have a brand new car. Definitely go with whatever the owner's manual says, which usually will be synthetic. So for me, it doesn't matter. This car is no longer under warranty. Little tips: always, you know, check your oil level before you drain it. Make sure that it's got oil in there, it's not leaking. This one surprisingly isn't burning or leaking any oil. Also check that the cap comes off. You don't have to take it all the way off, but you know, just make sure it does come off, just in case, you know, for whatever reason it's broken or it doesn't come off, or whatever the case. I've had many experiences with that. You don't drain your oil and then you're stuck and you're not able to put oil in your car again, and then now you're stuck, you can't go anywhere or do anything. So always make sure that cap comes off, everything is good in there. Check your oil level, and that's pretty much it. After that, you just go under the car, pop the drain plug. Let me show you real quick. For this car, like I said, it's very easy to do the oil change on it, because let me see if I can get you guys a good shot of it. There, right there, that's the oil filter, and then just underneath it right here, that's the oil drain plug. So very convenient, you know, spot. They made this motor very well for these years. I believe it's the same for like Acura, the TSX, Accords. A lot of Hondas use these motors, and it's very conveniently located. I've dealt with a lot of cars that have the filter in very hidden spots, very hard to get to. You get oil all over yourself, your hand, you cut yourself up, and yeah. But here it is. So if you're a beginner or an entry-level DIYer, I definitely recommend you do your own oil change on these cars, as it's fairly easy. Also, you will need one of these to catch the oil, but they're very cheap. They're like 10-15 bucks at the store. Walmart, AutoZone, one of those places, maybe even cheaper than that if you get a smaller one. This one's a 16-quart jug, but you can get smaller ones. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. What you really need, or the necessary items, is obviously your oil filter. You'll need a 17mm socket and wrench, or a 17mm wrench. Try to get the 6-point ones, not the 12, because those can strip your drain plug. You'll need filter wrenches if your filter's on tight, which usually they are, but you can sometimes take them off with just your hands. I would just recommend getting the pliers just in case, that way you're not stuck in the middle of it. And then you'll need a jack. You don't necessarily have to buy a jack like this one. You can get, you know, a cheaper one, or even the jack that comes with the car to switch out your spare, and then just get those jack stands like I have in the back to hold the car up, and then you guys should be good. Obviously, you know, a little tray like this one to catch all the used oil. Make sure you guys take it to your recycle center, or even to like Walmart, AutoZone, any of those auto parts store. I know they take that for free along with the filter. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty much been like 10-15 minutes and the oil's pretty much drained already. There's still a little bit dripping, but for the most part that's pretty much it. One more thing you will need that's not here is a funnel. I have it here, I'm about to take it out, but you do need a funnel to fill your motor. So it's kind of hard to record while trying to do this. Forgot the little tripod, but there's a drain plug in the filter. Once you get them loose, this is a 17 millimeter, and you can just use a filter wrench for these. You just pretty much unscrew it and let the oil drain out. Just like that. Put your drain plug to the side for now. You can see it was time for the oil change. It's pretty dark, but I do use this car for everything. It's a daily driver. And you guys can start loosening up the oil filter, let it drain out some of that oil. And then this is a good thing when you loosen the cap on top. That way the oil drains a lot faster. And then just be careful, another thing, if you're doing it, just be careful if you're doing it while the car's warm, or if you just drove it not too long ago, because this oil is very hot. Just wait for it to cool down a little bit. I do recommend, or at least me myself, do it when the car is warm. That way the oil has cycled through the engine and it, you know, all the stuff that's in there comes out. And then after that, just make sure that your oil's topped off to the appropriate level per your owner's manual. And that's pretty much it. You'll be done, and pretty much at the cost of whatever your oil and filter is, you can kind of go a little bit, you know, buy a little bit of better oil compared to if you go to the dealership or have somebody do it. They're going to charge you way more for synthetic oil plus the labor. So all in all, I mean, if you have this kind of car, it does make sense for you to do it at home. If you're like, you know, a beginner DIYer looking into it, I would for sure encourage you guys to get it done or attempt it yourself. It's not hard at all. Open your oil cap at the top before you pull the drain plug. It'll drain much faster, and it'll be easier to remove the cap. If you drain the oil and the cap is not loose, it's going to be hard to take that cap off. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I'll pretty much calling it the end of the video here. I'm just gonna fill it up, put the filter back on, and that's pretty much all there is to it. So there it is, pretty much done. When you fill it with oil, make sure you check the oil line on your dipstick, make sure it's full to the second dot right there, which would be this one, the higher one. Make sure the oil level is filled to that. And then what you want to do is you want to start the car, run it for a few seconds, and then come back out, turn it off. Turn off the vehicle, come back out, check the dipstick, and usually the oil filter will consume some of that oil. So your dipstick should measure a little bit less of the reading, and then you just top it off to that second dot, the higher one, and then you're pretty much all done. You're all set. After that, you're good to go. And yeah, that's pretty much all you do to do an oil change on a 2008 Honda Accord. Also, we'll differ by car, and then, you know, what kind of oil filter you use, stuff like that. Always refer to, like I said, you know, I've been saying refer to your owner's manual. But for mine, it ended up taking the whole 5-quart jug. And I just placed it just under the second dot on the dipstick, which I'll probably add just a tad bit more. But just to give you a rough idea, a 5-quart jug should be enough to fill the 2.4 liter 08 Honda Accord motor. But again, you know, check your owner's manual and make sure you physically check the dipstick to make sure that it did fill it to where it needs to be to prevent any damage for your motor or whatnot. And these 5 jugs are usually a better deal than buying single quart containers. The 5-quart jug is better prices usually, depending on where you go. But yeah.